In business studies, in class 12, chapter number 2 is concerned with principles of management. Okay, in this chapter there are total 5 topics which will be covered one by one. Number 1 is regarding concept, that is meaning of management, nature of principles of management. Then number 2 is significance or utility or need of principles of management, that means why the principles of management are needed. Third is Fayol's principle. Here we shall discuss 6 activities given by Fayol and 14 principles of management by Fayol. Then number 4, Taylor's scientific management. Here we shall discuss 6 principles of scientific management and 7 techniques of scientific management. And last number 5 is Fayol versus Taylor, that means a comparison, that means differences between the Fayol and Taylor's contribution to the management. Now I am starting topic number 1. In topic number 1, number A is meaning of principles of management. That means what is the meaning of principles of management? A principle is fundamental statement of fact that establishes a cause and effect relationship. That means a principle is a statement of fact. That means principle says that what is the cause and what is the effect relationship. That means if we know the cause, we can predict the effect, and if we know the effect, we can guess the cause. So principle is a fundamental statement which establishes a cause and effect relationship. Management principles are a statement of fundamental truth. That means in management we have some principles which are the statement of fundamental truth. They are broad and general guidelines for decision making and behavior action of managers. That means management principles are the guidelines which help the managers in their decision making, in their behavior and in their action. That means the decision making, behavior and action of managers are determined on the basis of guidelines. These guidelines are known as principles of management. Management principles are not as rigid as the principles of pure science. That means management principles are flexible. They are not as rigid as the principles of pure science. In pure science like physics, chemistry, we have some principles, some rules which are very rigid, but management principles are not rigid up to that level. This is number A, meaning of principles of management. Now number B, nature of principles of management. By nature we mean the qualities and characteristics. That means whenever you are asked to say about the nature of anything, you have to say about the qualities and characteristics of that thing. So here we are going to discuss the features of management principles. That means qualities of principles of management and characteristics of principles of management. Principles of management have the following features. These are the features of the principles of management. What features? There are total 8 points, 1, 2, 3, 4 and this side 5, 6, 7, 8. Number 1 is formed by practice and experimentation. That means management principles are formed by continuous practice, by continuous experimentation and by continuous experiments or experience. That means they are evolutionary. Management principles are evolutionary in nature. Number 2, cause and effect relationship. That means they establish the cause and effect relationship, so they help to predict the future. That means we can say that what will be the result of this if this is done. So help in predicting. Number 3, universal applicability, irrespective of size and scale of business or nature of business. That means management principles are applicable in every type of organization, whether it is business organization or non-business organization, whether it is small business, medium business, large scale business, whether it is proprietorship, partnership, company, etc. So it has universal applicability. 4th point, mainly behavioral. That means management principles are concerned with behavior, and that is human behavior. That means the principles of management are mainly used, mainly applied to modify the human behavior. So they are mainly behavioral. Then principles of management are general guidelines. That means they are not rigid rules, they are not laws, they are adjustable according to situation, according to time. Okay, these are not fixed rules. Flexibility, that means they can be modified according to situation's demand. That means the principles of management are not fixed, they are flexible, which can be changed, which can be modified, which can be amended. Then contingent, management principle depends upon situation. That means all principles cannot be applied in all situations. In different situation we have to apply different situations in different capacity, that means to different extents. So they depends upon the situation or time. Then equality, all the principles of management have equal value, that means they are applied with equal value. It is not that first principle is more important, last principle is less important, etc. They are of equal value, so they can be applied equally in all the situations. Then topic number 2 is regarding significance of principles of management, or utility of principles of management, or need of principles of management. That means why do we need the principles of management, what is the significance of the principles of management. So here there are total 6 points. Number 1, useful guidelines to managers. Management principles act as useful guidelines to manager, so that they can improve their knowledge, ability and understanding. That means management principles increases the knowledge of managers, ability of managers and understanding of managers. So they act as useful guidelines. Number 2, optimum utilization of resources. While we apply the principles of management, we can avoid the wastage and inefficiency of trial and error method. When you apply something without any principle, that is called trial and error method or hit or miss method. So there may be wastage and inefficiency in this method, but that can be reduced, that can be avoided by utilizing the resources properly. Third, scientific decision making. That means the managers are able to take scientific decision, to make scientific decision. That means the decisions are timely, they are taken in time, they are realistic, that means they based on the real situation, and based on the facts, that means decisions are based on the fact, real fact, and free from bias and prejudice. That means they are not the decisions of managers, not their personal decision. They are free from bias, they are free from prejudice. So they help in scientific decision making. Then meeting changing environment. That means principles of management provide an effective and dynamic leadership. In principles of management we find different types of leadership, and these leadership are effective and dynamic, so that we can change according to the changing environment, we can make change. Then fulfilling social responsibility by responding to the demands of the people or public. Management principles helps the business in fulfilling the social responsibility. How? By responding to demands of the public. By replying to demands of the public, the social responsibility of business can be fulfilled, and that is helped by management principles. Last one, management training, education and research. That means in management training, education and research, principles of management can act as basis. So principles of management become the basis of management training, management education and management research. So by acting as the basis, they facilitate management training, education and research. So this was regarding importance of principles of management, or significance, or utility, or why do we need the principles of management. Now I am going to discuss Fayol's principles of management, topic number 3. Fayol's principles of management. There was an expert in management named Henry Fayol, born in 1841 and died in 1925. He was a French mining engineer and management theorist. That means though he was an engineer, but he was also management theorist. He gave many theories of management. He is known as father of general management. Henry Fayol is called father of general management. So if somebody asks you who is called father of general management, the answer will be Henry Fayol. According to him, that means Henry Fayol has also given one definition of management, and according to him the definition is To manage is to forecast and plan, to organize, to command, to coordinate and to control. That means according to Henry Fayol, to manage means to forecast. Forecast means thinking ahead, thinking before. To plan, that means making plan for the future course of action. To organize, that means to divide the work, to assign the work, to fix the responsibility and to allocate the authority. To command, command means giving orders, strict orders. To coordinate, coordinate means making a synchronization or balancing among the diverse activities. And to control, control means checking the deviations, differences and making the corrections. So according to Henry Fayol, to manage is to forecast and plan, to organize, to command, to coordinate and to control. This was the definition given by Henry Fayol. His contribution is as follow. He has given many things in management. So contribution given by Fayol can be classified into different categories, say number A, then number B, etc. Today we shall discuss up to number A, that means types of business activities. Fayol classified all business activities into 6 categories. That means Henry Fayol has classified all the activities of an industrial undertaking into 6 categories, and these are technical activities, commercial activities, financial activities, security activities, accounting activities and managerial activities. Now what is there? In technical activities, we take only production and manufacturing activities. In commercial activities, Henry Fayol has taken buying, selling and exchange of goods and services. In financial activities, Fayol has taken sources of finance and usage of finance. That means from where the capital will be collected and how the capital will be used. That means how the capital will be invested. Then security. This is regarding protection of properties and persons. That means Henry Fayol given security as a separate activity which is concerned with protection of properties and persons which belong to the business. Then accounting activities, these are concerned with accounting functions, that means recording of transaction, posting, preparing, etc., including statistics. In accounting activities, Fayol has also included statistics. So accounting activities also include statistics. And last one is managerial activities. In managerial activities, Fayol has taken planning, organizing, commanding, coordinating and controlling as per his definition given above. Say planning, organizing, commanding, coordinating and controlling. So according to Fayol, managerial activities has 5 activities: planning, organizing, commanding, coordinating and controlling. Now second contribution given by Henry Fayol in management is principles of management. Fayol gave 14 principles of management. That means Henry Fayol has given 14 principles of general management. These are called the principles of general management. Now I am discussing all of them one by one. Number 1, division of work. According to Henry Fayol, work must be divided according to specialization. That means every work is to be divided in smaller parts and each part of the work is to be given to the person who is a specialist in performing that work. Second, authority and responsibility. Here authority means power and responsibility means duty. So there should be a proper balance, parity between powers and duties. If only power is given, duty is not given, then there is chance of misuse of power. And if only duty is given, power is not given, then it may be impossible to perform the duties. So powers and duties, that means authority and responsibility must be balanced. They must be given in parity. Third point is discipline, that is called obedience to rules and regulations of organization. That means everybody has to follow the rules and regulations of the organization where he is working. Nobody can violate the rules of organization or regulations of organization. Then fourth, unity of command. According to this principle, there should be one superior for one subordinate at a time. That means one subordinate, one worker should not get order from 2 or more superior. Otherwise, he will be confused whose order to obey and whose order not to obey. So there should be one superior on one subordinate at a time. When the subordinate is performing the work, he should receive order from one superior. This is unity of command. Then unity of direction. Here it is told that one head and one plan for similar type of works. That means when we are going to perform same type of work, there should not be two plans and there should not be two heads of that work. There will be only one head and one plan for similar types of work. So this is unity of direction. Then number 6 is subordination of individual interest to general interest. This is very important. Here it is told that overall interest must prevail. That means we should not give importance to any one person's interest. We should see the overall interest of the organization. If one person's interest is entertained, if one person is given more importance and others are neglected, then the management cannot become good. To make the management good, to make the management better, we have to see that the overall interest of the organization must prevail over the individual interest of a particular person. So this is called subordination of individual interest to general interest. Then number 7, remuneration of employees. Here it is told that pay and compensation is to be fair to both employee and employer. That means whatever employer is going to pay to the employees for their work, that pay and that compensation should be fair to both of them. That means it is not that employer is happy by paying but employees are not happy, or sometimes employees are happy but employer is not happy. So that should be fair to both of them. Then centralization and decentralization. Centralization means concentration of power and decentralization means dispersal of power. So there should be a balance of concentration and dispersal of authority. That means it is not always that every time the centralization is suitable or decentralization is suitable. Sometimes we need to apply the centralization and sometimes we need to apply the decentralization. That means in some cases the power must be in the hands of one person only, but in some other cases the power must be dispersed among many. So this is centralization and decentralization. Then scalar chain. This is the chain of authority and communication stating the superior subordinate relation. That means here the order should move from top to bottom and request should move from bottom to top. Okay, so there must be a proper channel of authority and communication. Whenever the orders and instructions are coming, they are coming from top to bottom, and whenever some grievances or some reports or some complaints are made, they are coming from bottom to top. Okay, then number 10, order. Order means here place for everything and place for everyone, and everything and everyone should be at its proper place. That means there must be a suitable place for everything and everyone and they should be there. That means the people, the persons of management, the staff, the workers should be given work according to their efficiency and ability. The things, equipment, machines, etc. should be placed at proper places so that there is no disturbance to anybody. So place for everything, place for everyone, and everything and everyone at his or its right place. This is the principle of order. Order means orderliness. Then equity. Equity here means equal behavior. It means no discrimination among employees on the basis of caste, religion, nationality, etc. That means every employee should be treated equal without any favor to a particular employee. There should not be any discrimination on the basis of caste or religion or nationality, etc. Then stability of tenure. It means continuity and stability of job and minimum staff turnover. That means once a person is given some job, he should be given proper time to adjust himself in the job. He should not be moved from one job to another very quickly. That will amount to staff turnover. So staff turnover should be minimum. Proper time should be given and continuity and stability of job should be given to the workers. Then number 13, initiative. It means self motivation and encouragement to employees to think and decide. Employees should be given chance to decide themselves and take decision. They should not be interfered from time to time. That means whenever the employee is going to do any work, he should not be disturbed. Last point is esprit de corps. It means team spirit. That means replacement of I with we. The management should say we, not I. So a team spirit should be built. That means divided we cannot stand, but united we can stand. United we stand, divided we fall. This is the principles of esprit de corps, that means team spirit. Okay. In the next class we shall be discussing the next topic. Thank you.